So welcoming you again. Now in this particular session we are going to take, once again I am repeating, final frontier, which I used the word earlier. Actually you might be thinking we haven't reached the frontier yet. Actually sir is talking about the fact that we are going to take the final frontier. But anyway, final frontier here means actually we are going to take the last topic that happens to be X-interest, Cum-interest. Now definitely this is the topic actually which could give you and to us some problems. And such questions, of course, questions may be tossed up in the examination from this particular topic. Two topics are important and vital. One is what we call X-interest, Cum-interest, and the another one is conversion, which you have already gone through. So now, X-interest, Cum-interest, we'll try to analyze it, and we will also have a good look over a tougher question later on. But let me finish for 34 just to analyze this particular concept. So before what we call moving over to the main part, I will take a simple question to understand the what we call nitty and gritty of X-interest and Cum-interest. Nitty and gritty means actually every facet. It's a phrase, N-I-T-T-Y, nitty and gritty. So I just want to understand the nitty and gritty of this particular topic, means I want to understand each and every facet of this particular topic. So in order to comprehend this particular topic, we will take purchase in the open market and Cum-interest and X-interest. So here we go. Question number 34. Wonderful question with a lovely view. So lovely view. Yes, the name is actually Hillview Limited. As you know, hills always thrills me. I'm a really lover of hills. So anyway, we will talk about that later on. So we'll take question number 34. Hillview Limited purchased its own 5,000 10% debentures of 100 each at the rate of 90 per debentures on 31st of 12/2008. Now it is given that the due date of interest happens to be 31st of March and 30th of September. Pass entries if quotations are Cum-interest and X-interest. So that is the question. Words are familiar to you. Even I'm very sure the treatment is also familiar to you. Yet, in spite of that, we are going to recapitulate. So question number 34, what's the question? First, we will try to understand that. So on 31st of 12/2008, correct? Now, on 31st 12/2008, question number 34 we are talking about now. Question number 34. Presuming 31st 12/2008 is falling somewhere here. 31st 12/2008 is falling, let us say, on this particular day, signified by this particular arrow. Now, question states that company purchased its own debenture from the market. Number of debenture 5,000, face value 100. Debentures have been purchased back at the rate of 90. Now the due date of interest which have been given to you actually are 31st of March and 30th of September. Now, as you know, most of the companies generally have two due dates of interest, and that means generally entity pay debenture interest to debenture holders twice a year. So in this particular date, the due date of interest is actually 30th of September and 31st of March. Now, this is the date on which debentures have been purchased. On this date, company purchased 5,000 debentures, own debentures of course, from the market. Debenture, 5,000 debentures have been purchased on this date of rupees 100 each, having a face value of 100 but purchased at the rate of 90. Is it given in the question? 90. At the rate of 90, let me check it out. Yes, it is 90. Now, you let me know if due date of interest is 31st of March and 30th of September, so last interest must have been paid on this particular date. Should I presume it this way round or not? 30th September 2008, on these debentures which I have purchased, debenture holders must have had received interest from the company on 30th of September 2008. We shall presume. It is not very difficult to arrive over this particular conclusion, isn't it or not? Because if the due date of interest happens to be 30th of September and on December company is purchasing its own debenture, we can easily conclude that these debenture holders must have received their interest last time on 30th of September 2008. Now, if these debenture holders would have had kept the debentures with them itself, that means if they have not sold back the debenture to the company, then they would have had received some interest on 31st of March. That is next date. Next date would be on 31st of 3/2009. This is next due date, which will fall on 31st of March 2009. Our entity has two interest dates. One is 30th of September, our company entity, because these debentures have been issued by our entity. So our entity pays interest on 30th and on 31st of March. Now, in between these two dates, that is on 31st of 12/2008, our entity purchased 5,000 debentures. So that is the reason why I am telling that these debenture holder must have received the last interest on 30th of 9/2008. But at the same time, they would have received the interest from 30th 9/2008 to, from this particular date to this particular date, that is for 6 months. These debenture holder would have received interest of 6 months if they had kept the debenture with them. But unfortunately, or you call it fortunately, our company purchased these debenture from the debenture holder on this particular date. Now you know better than I that debenture holder will receive interest only if they will hold the debenture on the due date of interest. You must have studied in your taxation that security holder who happens to be the security holder on the due date of interest is entitled to the interest. Now, the entire interest of 6 months would have been received by the debenture holders if they had held the debentures with themselves. But now, on this particular date, debenture holder will not hold the debentures. At the same time, we can say debentures, see here, from this particular date till up to this particular date, interest has accrued, no doubt about that, but it hasn't been received by the debenture holder. Interest is accrued, but it is not yet due. Interest accrued, and this interest of 3 months, from this particular date to this particular date, time period is 3 months. Is it clear to you? Now, what my point is that since on this particular date, debenture holders will sell their debenture back to the company, so they will not hold, no question of their holding the debenture on this particular date. It's clear. Our company will purchase the debentures from this debenture holder on this particular date as it is given in the questions. So, at the same time, you should keep in your mind that 3 months of interest has already accrued to these debenture holders from this particular date to this particular date, but this interest hasn't become due yet because debenture interest will become due only on this particular date. So, keeping all these things in mind, now let me pass the entry. Just pay attention actually how I am going to pass the entry. Now, I am means my entity. The entity is purchasing its own debenture as given in the question. 5,000 debentures are being purchased back. 5,000 into 100. Now 5,000 into 100 will give you 5 lakhs. This figure will give you 5 lakhs. Correct? You purchase these debentures. You purchase these debentures for rupees how much? You purchase these debentures for rupees 5,000 into 90. This is the price you paid for these debentures. Is it clear? Now, 5,000 into 90 is equal to 4,50,000. Logically, your profit should have been, the profit ultimately will be credited to capital reserve. Your profit would have been 50,000, no doubt about that. Now, the question is that now you presume yourself to be the debenture holder. You presume yourself to be the debenture holder, and I'm going to presume myself to be the entity because I am the boss. I am the entity. You are the debenture holders. I am going to buy debentures from you on this particular date. Correct? Now, after listening to this much of a story, you also know the fact that when you are going to sell these debentures on this particular date to Mr. Sanjay K. Welkins, then what will happen? What will happen? You will lose not only these 3 months of interest, but you will also lose these 3 months of interest. No doubt about that. But you will not have the pain of these 3 months because on this date you are selling off your debenture, so you will not feel the pinch of these 3 months, but definitely you are going to feel the pinch of these 3 months because you held the debenture from this particular date to this particular date. Logically, you have a right to claim interest of 3 months. Are you getting my point or not? So interest of 3 months, what will be the interest? I am doing the calculation here. Now, interest of these 3 months, interest for these 3 months will be equal to 5,000 number of debenture. The interest is always computed on face value. Total face value is 5 lakh. Rate of interest of the debenture given in the question is 10%. So 10%, and we will multiply it with 3 months. So I think it is equal to 12,500. Even if suppose it is not 12,500, do not worry about that. You need to worry about that. This interest relates to this particular period. Correct? From this particular date to this particular date. 3 months. Now, if you are an intelligent fellow, you will insist upon the fact that I means myself, should pay you rupees 12,500. Wouldn't you insist or not? You have a rightful claim on 12,500, then why you would lose that amount? Are you getting my point or not? You will definitely demand 12,500 of interest from me. And now it is my duty, and especially if I am a good-natured person, a nice person, I will not do any injustice to you. I will definitely give you your due credit. So I should not shy in paying you 12,500. So I will pay you the interest without any doubt. I will pay you the interest. This period is known as generally expired period. This period is known as expired period, these 3 months, correct? So I should pay you the interest of expired period, which I am doing. I must. Why not? Interest on debenture account debit to bank account. This is the entry I am going to pass, isn't it or not? So I have paid you 12,500. Remember one thing. I am a good person. I am a nice person. Remember, who am I? Sir Sanjay K. Welkins. No, I am the company. Oh, sir, you keep on playing riddles. No. What my point is that at this moment I am representing the company, so I am the entity. What my point is that my company is not going to take any unlawful step, any what we call inhuman step. I am definitely going to see to it that you get the required justice. So it is your rightful demand, it is your logical demand. So you have not only the privilege, but you have the prerogative. So you need to get the interest. It is your rightful. So companies should not have any problem in paying you 12,500. Now see, the intelligence of the company. So far you have taken the intelligence of yourself. Now pay attention here. Now company is telling you, what the company is telling you now, just pay attention. Suppose my company says, correct, my company means the company says to you, well, we are purchasing your debenture worth rupees 5 lakh. We will pay you 5,000 into 90. We will pay you only 5,000 into 90. It means we will pay you only rupees 4,50,000. And you presume that out of this 4,50,000, company is telling to you that you presume that out of 4,50,000, 12,500 is meant for interest. Now that is the intelligence of the company. Just have a look over here. How the company is playing the game in a very innocent manner. This is known as knifing through the butter. So without what we call giving pain, company is giving lot of suffering. See here. Company is telling you, we are giving you only 4,50,000. We will not give you a single more penny. We will give you only 12,500. 4,50,000. You presume yourself that out of this 4,50,000, 12,500 is meant for interest, and we are paying 4,37,500 to you for debentures. Oh my God. Now definitely you will curse the company. What's this company? This is playing a truant. This is playing a game. We were under the impression that this company is a very good company. But anyway, what my point is that ultimately things depends upon the mutual what we call agreements. So there are two possibilities that company may tell you that this payment includes the payment of interest. Presume company tells you this. So in accounting jargon, I would say this is a case of cum-interest, C-U-M. In accounting jargon, in accounting language, in accounting terminology, it will be called as a case of cum-interest. Is it clear to you? So, it means this 4,50,000, see here what I am doing. I am subtracting here now 12,500 because company is eating back its own words. Company is telling, you presume that out of 4,50,000, 12,500 is for interest, and company is telling you, you presume that we are paying only 4,37,500 to you for debenture and 12,500 for interest. So that 4,50,000 is inclusive of interest parts. So this situation will become a case of cum-interest. Is it clear to you? So in this case, your profit definitely will be high, 62,500. Remember one thing, actually why we need to segregate the total amount paid. See here, when I am telling you this 4,50,000 comprises of payment towards debentures and payments towards interest. So, but why I am doing so? Why the accounting needs that? Requires that. The reason is that payment for debenture is considered as a capital nature payment and payment for interest is known as, or rather considered as, revenue nature payment. So that is the reason it becomes imperative to segregate the total amount paid into interest element and into payment towards debenture element. Payment towards debenture is considered as a capital payment. So that is the reason actually my capital reserve now will be 62,500. I cannot intermingle these two entries logically, otherwise I will get a wrong figure with respect to capital profit. Now, it means in case of X interest, interest element is included in it. So if I presume this is cum-interest case, correct? This is cum-interest situation. So under the cum-interest entries will be like this. Is it clear? Now suppose I presume it to be a case of X interest. Now I need not require to explain the things because you have already understood the meaning of X interest. So in this, the situation will be like this. Your first entry will be debenture account debit 5,000 into 100, 5 lakh, and you will pay to bank. It means when price is X interest quoted, here you will directly write 4,50,000. That means the amount paid is meant only for debenture. It is exclusive of the interest payment. Is it clear? So in this case, quite obviously, because you are making this time a greater payment towards the debenture element, so your profit will be a little bit lower in comparison to the earlier case. So 50,000. But remember one thing, in both the situation, entries for interest need to be passed. You will have to pay the interest. Remember one thing, it is the rightful act of the debenture holders, so you cannot, what we call, eat away what we call their right. You will have to pay them the interest. So interest account debit to bank account and interest 12,500. That means in this case, all in all, I am paying total amount of 4,50,000 plus 12,500. That means interest payment is apart from the debenture payment. Is it clear to you? In simple words, when the quotation includes interest element, that becomes a case of cum-interest, and when the quotation excludes what we call interest, that becomes a case of ex-interest. So that is how we are going to proceed in this particular section. Is it clear to you or not? Now, if it is clear to you, we will wrap up this particular session at this particular point of time. We will restart with a new one, and we'll take one more question, and that will definitely be the last question of this particular chapter. With that, we'll finish off, but we will have to wait for one more session.